All right, we are live. We're back. Another episode of Adapt and Achieve. Man, it has been a little while since I've gone live on here. The last time was the Hot Rod Ultra, which was weekend of September 20th, 21st. So it's been a while since then. It's been this wave we've been riding, and then the race is over. We have about a week. We're excited. We're having a blast, and then we're like, all right, back to reality because the Hot Rod Ultra is our biggest event of the year from like a ministry standpoint. So the race benefits Curbside Ministries, which is a local nonprofit here in Bowling Green, and they do amazing work. And so again, coming off that high of getting ready for the race, executing the race, providing good experience for the runners, fundraising all this money, having these recap meetings, you realize how much goes into it and how much fun it is. So we're coming off of the high of the Hot Rod Ultra the last few weeks. It's been busy trying to get back down to business here, but it's all good. And we're back with another episode, and I'm really excited about this one because it's going to be a good one. This guy has a lot of perspective, just an amazing person, really plugged into the Bowling Green community, business owner. So today I've got Mr. Denton Cable with me over here.
Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going, dude?
Good, man. Good.
Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So Denton and I were talking a little bit offline, but we first kind of connected at this event, what's called Greater Purpose Workshop. So Denton's a member of C12, which is I'll let you actually kind of touch on what C12 is.
Yeah.
Just a brief little thing, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, C12 is an awesome organization. So C12 is a Christian leadership group. So it's a kind of Christian leadership training for business owners, CEOs. And then they have a key player program. So key people within your organization too. So it kind of gives Christians kind of some guidance on how to incorporate ministry into your business without, the threat of how to do it without the worry of being sued or, anything, something like that. I think we're, as Christians, we're called to walk with Jesus daily, as Christ followers. And that doesn't mean that you get to put that aside when you go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so as stewards of God's blessings, because God owns everything, he's blessed us with the ability to run or own businesses. And how do we do that to glorify him and to make that incorporate our walk into our business as well, and take that to our teams, and show them that light to them. And C12 is a big part of my goal of bringing ministry, and I know Kevin's and yours, to our employees and to the community.
Yeah, I mean, I get chills. Like you explained it so perfectly. And so Kevin, our CEO and owner, he is also a member of C12, which is how you and him kind of got connected heavily, right?
Yeah.
Through C12.
Yeah.
So they do this event every year called Greater Purpose Workshop, and basically anybody can come to that, and they obviously encourage members of C12 to bring some of their associates, employees, coworkers with them. So this is the second year I got to go, and it's amazing because you're in a group with like-minded people, other business owners, and Kevin has translated a lot of what you all do in C12 to our business practices too. And I think it's really allowed him and us to feel more comfortable in talking about Christ and talking about ministry in our business and how it's such an important component of the business.
Yeah.
And what we've slowly realized through putting more emphasis on our ministry and being more open, and it's still like something we're learning, obviously,
Yeah,
it was like, how can we incorporate Christ into our business and feel, kind of break the mold of what society has kind of put on it of, if you talk about God, if you talk about your religion at all, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And so trying to break that mold. But anyway, we've gotten more comfortable and we've realized how important the ministry piece is, which for us is the Hot Rod Ultra. And we realize, the blessing that comes with that is more brand awareness, more business, essentially, although that's not the goal of the ministry piece. But we see that, okay, well, we're getting in front of a lot more people and we're touching a lot more lives when we go more into our ministry piece.
Bingo.
And it's amazing, man. So anyway, that was a long story there. But at the last C12, or the Greater Purpose Workshop, Denton and I kind of connected on a break, and he had said that he listened to one of the live stream podcasts and said it was awesome. And I was like, well, you're pretty awesome too, so why don't you come on the podcast? So we finally set it up, and he had listened to the episode we did with Spence Sheldon a couple of months ago after he did Ironman Florida, and then he won the Chamber Small Business Person of the Year here in Bowling Green. Spence is just a super dynamic guy, great dude. And yeah, I'm glad that you were able to tune in and you liked that episode.
Yeah.
Shout out to Spence for getting another listener, another viewer. So, but anyway, let's dive in to who Denton Cable is, what On Target is, which is the business you own. So before we do all that, just give a little intro of who is Denton Cable.
Yeah, for sure, man. Denton Cable. I'm the founder and owner of On Target. We started 8 years ago here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I started cleaning carpet out of my 2-door Honda Accord, and I'm from Kansas City, Missouri originally. Born and raised there. Had some buddies that were going to Western. Ended up landing out here with them. I was gonna enroll to Western, and the business kind of took off, so I kind of took a step back from that. But it is like I said, I just started cleaning in my Honda Accord, and I knew how to carpet clean. I had done that in Kansas City, so we started cleaning apartments and during the move outs, and one thing led to another. I had some buddies that I had gone to college with in Florida, and there was a Christian school that I went to down there, Florida College, and so did that, and they ended up moving up here. So once they were done with college, they didn't really know what they were going to do. They were just kind of floating around. I was like, hey, move up here. I started this business. Like, come work for me. You'll have to have another job like in the meantime, but like, we'll build it into something big. And so they came up, started working for me. Skylar's still with me. Neil actually just left. He got a really cool opportunity. A lot of what we do, especially what Neil was doing, is really physically demanding. And so it was time for him to move into just kind of a different field. But man, it was so cool, like watching these guys come up here just on like, all right, yeah, I'll take a shot at it. And they're both married. They both have kids and houses, and being able to build a business and provide that has been huge. But we started cleaning out of a Honda Accord, and slowly added. Apartments were transitioning away from carpet. They were going to all like LVT flooring and all that. So we added a janitorial division. So we were doing like, all the cleans, like the toilets and the tubs and all that. So, just threw some cleaning supplies in the Accord with me and just started, slinging some apartment move out cleans. And when we saved up enough money, we bought some restoration equipment. I had a lot of experience in that in Kansas City as well. So it's all the stuff you like if your house floods, catches on fire, mold, storm damage, stuff like that. So we got into that, and we've got all the fancy, super expensive equipment to come in, dry everything out, test everything, make sure if you have water damage, you're not going to get mold. If you do have mold, make sure we remove it and get it all, put you back in a healthy home. If your house catches on fire, get rid of it, put it back without it smelling like a fire. And so, which is super challenging, by the way.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And then storms, like we had the tornado and all that. So, we kind of, went through and did storm damage, and that division has grown really big. We're surrounded by franchises here in Bowling Green. Franchises have franchise help, right? So if they get some monster multi-million-dollar job and they don't know how to do it or they don't have the equipment, it's not a big deal. They just call a phone number and that they just send help. And we didn't have that benefit, but we've been able to scale to the point now that there's not a job that we couldn't take now. So that's been really cool. And then a couple of years ago, we added a construction division. After we do restoration, we tear stuff out, and then it's got to get put back. And so we were like, okay, so we work with some local contractors, and it's just like everybody else in Bowling Green. They got busy, and then all of a sudden they wouldn't show up. Oh, I can't get to that. Oh, I can't come until next week when they said they're coming this week. And it just kind of ruined the customer journey for us, which, when you try to build ministry in, you try to, hey, we're a Christian-based business, and then you don't show up when you say you're gonna show up. But it was kind of out of my control. So I was like, all right, bet, watch this. And so we started a full construction division, and it is our biggest division now within a couple years. And we do everything from there was a Wendy's here in town that caught on fire. We're rebuilding it. So full commercial restaurant rebuild. We've done houses, we've done apartment buildings. Whatever happens, we're here for it.
Wow, man, that's incredible. I always love I knew you all were one of the probably handful of locally owned cleaning restoration businesses in Bowling Green, right? Or in the
Yeah.
area, probably not many.
Yeah, I tell people it gets a little confusing. I tell people, like, locally owned and operated is what the franchises say. They're
Oh
trying to
yeah,
catch that local feel,
yeah.
which and I respect it. And the guys that own the franchises a lot of times live here. And I'm not throwing shade at franchises or anything. It's really hard to build a business from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand the franchise route, but it definitely helps with that. But yeah, we're the only locally founded
Okay.
cleaning and restoration company. So like we actually like started, and like all the branding,
Yeah,
all
you
the
bootstrapped
back end
all of
stuff.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everything is right here in Bowling Green. What I tell people is, hey, you spend money with us, and 100% of that money stays right here in
Mm-hmm.
Bowling Green and the surrounding community. With franchises, they've got to kick out a certain percentage back to
Yeah.
the franchise. And so,
Typically a good amount too.
yeah, so it can be up to 40% sometimes. And so, like they're just rolling money back, and that's that's fine, but it's not when you keep that money here, you can reinvest in the community, which we're big on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and jump to that next because that was something that I wanted to touch on is, On Target is slowly becoming like a household name here in Bowling Green. And I'm a big fan of Whether or Not on
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, and all that.
Landon Hampton's the
Oh
man.
man, love them. And so, we, had that bad surge of storms come through not, a couple months ago. I felt like
Yeah.
it was every weekend or every week we're getting
Yes,
hammered with
crazy.
something. And Landon, I that's what I watch for weather. I don't even watch TV.
Yep.
I pull it up on Facebook, and my wife and I will watch it and keep up there. And whenever they announced the On Target sponsorship, I was like, man, these guys just keep on showing up.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, man, you all do so much. You're big in ministry in the community. You're a part of so many organizations here in Bowling Green. So, how important has it been for you to stay connected in the Bowling Green community, and what have you seen from it? Like, what's the value for you? What is the biggest purpose for you doing that?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, from a business perspective, we don't have the marketing budget of these other companies,
Mhm.
right? And so, a lot of people can buy that brand awareness. They can become known in the community just through just a absurd amount of money in
Yeah, writing a
marketing.
check. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that's one way to do it. That's fine. We didn't have that luxury. I didn't come from a wealthy family or anything like that. Like it was just me.
Mhm.
So we were just flying the team, and we were just flying by with what money we made, and so we had to get strategic. And one of the ways to do that, to become a household name, which we started to build over the last 8 years, is like every job you're at. I tell my guys this all the time. Like, I don't care if you're at $100 job or if you're at $1 million job. Whatever job you're at is the most important job
Mhm.
we have, and you need to treat that customer the same that you would treat the mayor of Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Like you've got everybody's the same. You got to treat them all the same. And my theory, our mission statement is we're a service company based in Christian values that's employee focused, community centered, striving to glorify God and our family by serving yours. And so being community centered is like our core and our mission. And if you notice, like in that mission statement, nowhere in there does it say anything about the customer
Right.
at all.
Mm.
And it's not that we don't care about our customers.
Mhm.
Obviously, we love our customers, and we're super appreciative for them. But I believe that if we take care of the employees, and that's me taking care of the employees, my executive team, the managers, and then the employees just taking care of each other, and then we make all of our decisions as a team to take care of the community, we believe that the customer service falls in line with that. So if I take care of my people, they'll take care of the customer. If we take care of the community, they'll take care of us.
Yeah. And that's 100% true, man. I think especially, I mean, just speaking from someone who's, I'm a homeowner, I've had to use a lot of HVAC companies and plumbing companies. And, when you are using a service or a company that you don't really have any expertise in, it's really easy to be like, are they being transparent? Are they
Yeah.
being this with me, And so I think it's important that, yeah, you got to, if you're going to be on a job site, especially when you're a locally founded business,
Yeah.
you have to have a good reputation. And if you want that reputation to be positive and be consistent, like you have to show up and do the job right, be transparent with your people. So I think, yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, at Move Well, we serve people too. And that's one of our pillars is family driven or
Yep.
family oriented.
Yep.
Because we realize like if he's not giving us the flexibility as employees to take care of our families and take care of our personal needs, well, it's probably not going to reflect that way for our people we're interacting with in the business either,
Yeah, 100%.
right? And so, yeah, I mean, having a healthy and positive workplace that you feel comfortable and that has transparency and serves you as you would want to be served goes a long way, man. And I think that's huge. And I think people see that with On Target too, man. I think you leading from the front and being the way you are, I think it's a no brainer that you guys are doing amazing there. So thanks for sharing that. So before we move on, also kind of explain what your role in On Target is right now. Like, what's your day to day look like? What's your role or your title?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've worked every job title
Uh-huh.
at On Target, and it's I'm CEO,
Mhm.
so I'm the chief executive officer, whatever, president. I'm not big on titles, but
Right.
I'm the visionary, right? So I'm looking ahead, so I'm planning for what's coming, where we're going, and then I relay that vision to my executive team, and then we come up with a plan to execute, and then it kind of rolls down the ladder. And so one thing that we were bad about the first probably 6 years until I joined C12 in
Mhm.
full transparency was we were just flying by the seat of our pants.
Mhm.
Like, we were growing so fast. I mean, it was like, we have 30 full-time employees now, and a plethora of part-time employees. And so, like, it just got really big really quick. So we were just hanging on, we're just along for the
Mhm.
ride. There wasn't much strategic going on about it. It was
Mhm.
just like, hey, we'll figure it out. I guess it's working.
Yeah, it's business. We got to keep it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll just keep rolling with it. And we got really strategic in the last couple of years as far as, like, okay, what do we want to be? Like, how
Mhm.
big do we want to be? Like, what is enough? What is our mission? What do we want to do in the community? How much money, from a profit standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, do we need to be at to achieve our goals of taking care of our employees and the community properly? And so that's my goal now, is setting that vision for the company. I grew up, like, my family, like, we always had what we needed, but we were low middle class.
Mhm.
My dad had MS, he was in a wheelchair, and my mom, like, really kind of raised us. My parents were divorced, and so it was always this kind of this balance of, like, we didn't have a lot,
Mhm.
like, we weren't super rich. And I've really carried that into my business. And my wife hates it when I say this, but I'm like, I grew up poor,
Mhm.
and I was happy,
Mhm.
like, I'm good. Like, I know I can raise my family, whether we're poor or not, and be good. So the goal of On Target is not for me to make a bunch of money.
Mhm.
I'm really just not interested in that. I'd rather just take care of my people, provide career level opportunities in industries that don't normally have them,
Mhm.
and just do the right thing by the community. And, like, will money come along the way? Like, yeah, probably. But, like, everything that we've done in the last 8 years, like, you can, if you look, like, we've dumped every penny back into the
Mhm.
company, into the community, um, and just, it's that's the focus for me. And I think that's what makes it really hard to compete against us, if we're being honest.
Yeah. No, and no, you making the comment of being able to offer career level opportunities for your employees. I'm not joking. Last night I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and her and I went to school together at WKU, and I was asking her about the job she has now, and she was like, I enjoy it. It's flexible for my family. And she was like, but they told me from the beginning that this is kind of where I was going to be. Like, there's no growth opportunity.
Yeah.
And they presented that from the jump. And so she had said, I'm good with that now because it's what my family needs. But eventually I know that I'll have to leave.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, I mean, and I understand that. I mean, some people, that's just where you're at in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's a business very similar to what you all do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like hearing that, and again, in the moment, I'm like, I get it. You're a parent, and that makes sense. But I'm like, isn't that crazy to be that? I mean, at least they're being transparent, but to just flat out be able to tell you that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is where you're going to stay, and this is pretty much it. There's no growth opportunity.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
We lay it all on the line every day, and so, like, we're constantly reinvesting. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, I will make plans to scale, but scaling is easier if we have the people that want to do it with us.
Hmm.
And so, if we can invest in the people that we have, to build them up to where so as we grow and more positions come available, they can kind of rise through the company.
Right.
That's big for us. And so like, I mean, Skylar started as a, just a technician, learning how to clean carpet and all that. And now he's the division manager for restoration. Like he runs our restoration division. This dude knows everything about mold. He knows everything about odors, water. Like, I mean, he just gets it. And, he's grown with us over the years. And a lot of our employees have, on my CFO, vice president of operations or of administration, whatever you want to call her, Paige. She's in C12 as well. She's my key player. When she started, like she had a master's degree in outdoor recreation. And I was like, hey, like, you don't have to like cleaning and restoration or nothing, but like, just, I promise you're going to like, just come work for me and we'll do cool things. And I think you'll really like it. And she went from like, she didn't know how to run any of our softwares. She didn't know nothing about QuickBooks. She didn't know nothing about accounting, cash flow management, HR. She didn't know any of these things. And now she runs everything administrative at the company. And so we just gave her the opportunity and she wanted it. She wanted to grow. And, so we just provide that to our employees. And there's countless other stories. I could go on for hours about all these different individuals who started with us and just worked their way in. And it's that's what's so rewarding. That to me, those stories are better than a paycheck.
Yeah, it's about putting the right people in the right places too.
100%.
I mean, or bringing the right people into your company that want to grow with you, that are as bought in as you are.
Yeah.
And then being able to place them in the right role, I think is a no-brainer. I mean, especially when you have a company that has strong values and that is really passionate, is where I find it. A lot of companies that are passionate about what they do, and it starts from the top. Like Kevin here is a very passionate person. And so naturally, even outside of business, he wants people around him that are the same way. Like, you want to associate with folks that are similar to you, that are as passionate as you are. And that goes right into business too.
Yep.
And so you can tell those companies apart for people who come in just for a paycheck at a job versus the people that come in and they like, I don't want to leave because I love what we do and I love how I'm treated.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that, that all starts with just getting the right people and building the right culture. So that's awesome. So going back to, like you said, really the last couple of years has probably been where you guys have gotten more strategic with the way you're running the business and as volume picks up for you all. So what would you say, and there might be multiple, so feel free to share a couple that stand out, but what were some challenging times, specific moments in the business, even whether it was the early stages, the midlife stages, or even now as you've learned to get more strategic? What are some of the harder times or challenges that you faced?
Yeah, handling growth, explosive growth. Like we were growing 100-200% annually every year.
Crazy.
And that's intense. When I tell my management team all the time, like, hey, you have to grow professionally at the same rate that the business grows. And even as CEO, like I wasn't able to do that. I feel like I am now with C12, but like I didn't know how. And a lot of these, like, they didn't know how either. And so like it was trying to find those resources. And then, man, just the simple stuff of like processes, procedures. Like, we had an employee get bit by a dog yesterday, like at a bid. Jeez. It's like, what do I do with that?
Right.
Like, is that a work comp claim? Like, yes. I mean, she was working, so like, yes, I guess, but it's like, but it wasn't our dog,
right?
It's this lady's dog, and so it's like, it's like, how to just understanding like the different scenarios, and then like, hey, every division needs to meet every morning. Like, okay, like what are they going to talk about?
Yeah.
Like what information do we need from them every morning to make sure we're successful, and just SOPs, processes, stuff like that. Man, that was the hardest part about scaling. And we've been working on that for like the last 2 years and really have it honed in now and feel like we're like a really well-oiled machine now. And there's always kinks and you can always get better, but man, that's been the hardest part. Like for a long time, it was the people, just getting enough people.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was, and then it was like, okay, well, we've got a lot of people. Let's focus on making sure that these people know what they're doing, know what their path forward is, know what the culture is. Because as you step out of the van, like me personally, out of doing the work, you're not there. You can't talk to them like every single day in the van. And so it gets harder to relay that culture to the new people coming in. So that's been really tough. And then, yeah, I mean, from the financial side, just like, managing, like, do I get a loan for this? Do we just save up and pay cash? Cash flow, like construction, like running a construction company is a monster, dude. It just, I mean, it eats cash, and it's like, it's like one day you feel like you're winning, and the next day it's like you get this bill from the electrician. You're like, dude.
Yeah.
And so it's balancing that has been interesting as well. I love math. I love numbers. I love the accounting side. I actually love the business side. And so, I jump into that stuff and with the team and we'll figure all that stuff out, make it work. But yeah, I mean, just controlling growth with quality
Mhm.
and with the right people, and then having the cash to do it the right way has been extremely challenging.
Mm. What about on the flip side of that? What has been some of the best times of building the business? Like, are there, and maybe it's something that in the moment you're like, man, that sucked. But you look back and like, that was probably one of the biggest needs that I had in building this business. I'm sure there's been a lot of those too. So can you share any of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I mean, just like grinding,
Mm,
and that sounds silly, but like just getting out there and doing it. Like people talk about how cool it is to own a business, and like, oh, you have all this freedom. Like, no, you don't.
mm.
Like, when we first started and we added janitorial, so like I was working another job.
Oh,
So
wow.
like I was a full-time general manager of the rock climbing gym here in town. And so I was doing that. And so like I didn't go in until 10 a.m. and I would go do all my bids and inspections like in the morning. So like I would go get all the keys, everything I needed. I'd do my inspections. I'd go to work. I'd get off at 8. And then it was like, all right, I'm gonna go finish my inspections. And then we had all the cleans to do.
Yeah.
So like we were carpet cleaning, janitorial, working until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just whatever it took. And you got to wake up and do it again the next day,
Mhm,
or that emergency water loss comes in. We had a big freeze here a couple years ago
mhm,
on it was the day before Christmas Eve. And so like it was negative 25 wind chills. Dude, there was more work in Bowling Green from that than there was a tornado. It
wow.
was chaos. And right over Christmas,
Mhm,
we were working, me, Skylar, and a bunch of the rest. Skylar was on call, so he caught the brunt of it. But like Skylar worked 16-hour days. Like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I was right there with him. We were in vans. We were begging anybody to come in, making it
mhm,
mandatory for people to come in, which culturally wasn't super great. But like we had to take care. We have more extraction water removal capability than anybody in town
mhm,
because we have a carpet cleaning division. And so like we were just sucking water.
mhm,
I mean, it was just nonstop chaos. And it just these long days. But knowing that you're helping people is super rewarding. These people, like, their Christmases are ruined. And then
mhm,
just like showing up with a smile on your face and just letting them know, like, hey, we'll take care of it. Like,
mhm.
like that was super rewarding. But yeah, I mean, there's always pros and cons to it. But yeah, I mean, people ask me all the time, like, if you know what you know now, would you do it again? I'd say if you asked me that question before C12, I'd probably say no.
Mm,
But post C12, once I kind of understand what I'm doing and understand how to plan and be more strategic with the business, 100%.
yeah.
Would I do it the same? No.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's very rewarding. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, the grind and just the hard work it takes to get things up and going is don't ever underestimate it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, and I had this conversation with one of our, it was Tyrion Clark. He was in the podcast a couple episodes ago, and he helps with he runs the Boys to Men program
Yeah.
here, and really involved with Boys and Girls Club of America, all that. And he was talking about whenever he was starting, I think he was referencing Boys to Men when he started that. Um, how when he first started, he was doing things a certain way, and then he could feel it changing and evolving, and he felt weird about it because he was like, well, I don't know, is this what God wanted me to do? Like,
Yeah.
did he want it to look like this, or am I changing it too much? And then he said he started to sit back and tell himself and understand that maybe this is what he wanted it to look like all along. This was
Yeah.
God's vision, and it's a process, and it's
Yep.
evolving over time.
Yep.
So although the first 6 years of running and bootstrapping on target was
Yeah.
you're probably like, it was strategically may have been a nightmare, been really difficult. It's like, well, now I'm understanding, and look at the way you've been able to evolve the business is through a Christian led
Yeah.
business group,
Yeah.
and so I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, man. And going from the on target from when we started to the on target now, completely different. And I'm
Mhm,
not going to sit here and pretend like I've been the best boss, the best owner ever. Like we've made mistakes along the way. Like we've had people leave because they didn't feel that they were like, you talk about it, but like you don't live it. And like in some instances, like they were right.
wow.
And so, but like it's those cold sobering, like it's that cold sobering truth that's like, hey, let me dial this back. Let me look at it. and learn from your mistakes. That's the biggest thing that organizations miss out on is, man, there's so much. If you have people that leave or quit or get upset, like even like if we have to fire somebody or discipline somebody, like we always try to get those exit interviews. Hey, what can we be doing better? Like,
Mhm.
why weren't you successful here? Like, or why aren't you succeeding here? Like, give us, like, we will change, like, we will
Mhm.
make changes. And I think organizations a lot of times do a poor job of talking and getting that information from the people on the ground.
Mm.
Because in your desk, when you're not out there doing the work, some stuff that you put on paper makes sense, but in the field, it doesn't make any sense. So you got to stay super in tune with those people on the ground of like, hey, what's working, what's not, what can we do to get better?
So because the business has exploded year after year, how has your strategies of managing people changed? Like, is there a best practice you have now, or just how has it evolved? What does that look like?
I used to hire, it was all friends or
Mm.
like people that I went to church with. And so when we started branching outside of that, culturally it became kind of difficult because you had like, oh, those are the people that go to church and these are the people that don't, or these are the people that are friends with Denton and these are the people that aren't.
Right.
So it was like we kind of made these like two little cliques. So just trying to break down those barriers, and like how do we say like, hey, yeah, like these people are like that I go to church with are like happy and they're chill and they're, like everybody's like nice to each other and we don't cuss and like we do all these things and it's like that can be intimidating for
Mhm.
some people who didn't grow up or don't go to church or whatever. And so it's like, how do we mesh these two and still make it feel welcoming? And so just trying to balance that, and a lot of that lives and breathes just within your corporate documents and your all staff meetings and just communication in general. So like we have a company group chat, and it's an all staff group chat, and every department has their own, but we have an all staff one, and dude, it's like we're mostly just cutting up like and
Mhm.
having a good time, just keeping it lighthearted. It doesn't have to be serious all the time. Like a job can be a place that you enjoy coming to.
Mhm.
But as the business leader, like it's your job to make that happen. And I didn't take that responsibility seriously at first. I thought everybody else would just do that because they wanted a fun place to work. And it's you have to create that culture. They're
Mhm.
not going to create it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, that I feel that would be honestly the most challenging, that and then the procedures. But yeah, I mean, do you guys experience or did you experience a lot of turnover when it comes to the business? How's
Yeah.
that been navigated?
Yeah, I mean, there are industry averages turnover rates.
Mhm.
I bragged for a long time. I mean, I think up until like year 4 or 5, we had never lost somebody,
Wow.
never.
That's
Like we
crazy.
kept everybody, and but we were just growing.
Yeah.
Like so, it was fun, it was exciting, it was new, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. And then as it like started to get more intense, we had some people kind of weed out. But like so, like our janitorial team is the average industry turnover for a janitorial company is like over 200% annually, which means
Wow.
that your team will turn over completely twice in a year's time. Man, that's tough. And
Yeah.
so we run in like the mid like hundred
Mm.
percent turnover, and that doesn't mean like we don't like roll a manager every year, but like just staff in general. And that's a hard department to work in. Like people, it's the hardest department to work in because it's the one main department that everybody thinks they can do it.
Mm.
Everybody thinks that they can just grab rags and they can clean, right? It's like, yeah, well, you can do it, but like this apartment is paying me $50 to clean a one bedroom. I need to be in and out of here in 30 minutes, but I need to do it efficiently.
Mhm.
It needs to be done right, so we can actually make money. A lot of times, just break even. And sometimes you walk in, man, and people sometimes people are gross,
Yeah.
and you're there cleaning up people's messes, and
Mhm.
it's mentally really hard because you never know what you're going to walk into until you walk into it. And so our turnover rate in that department is higher than most other departments, um, and we do everything we can to try to take care of those people. And it's a hard job to see a career in,
Yeah.
but it's there and it can be super rewarding. So with that turnover, like across other departments, is hit and miss. It just kind of depends on what's going on, what's the stress of the department, how new is it, how much change are we having to
Mhm.
implement and process and procedures. That normally stresses people. Sometimes people don't change well, and it's like, no, that's the direction we're going. You're either going to change or
Yeah,
you're
you're
gonna
out.
you're gonna
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
So um, but yeah, I mean, it's turnover's been tough. Um, we don't have like a major problem with it like a lot of companies, but I hate seeing people go because I
Yeah.
know the potential that they could have, and sometimes you want people to be more invested than they're willing to be, and that's hard.
Yeah. Well, I think you get to a point too when you're growing a business where if you try, you try pumping so much into somebody and you see a lot of potential. I mean, I'm sure it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is tearing me down more than it's going to help me.
Yeah.
Like it's exhausting. But I mean, I would say that the janitorial job, like that job, probably just the job itself may cause the turnover in
Yeah.
most businesses anyway, if I had to
It's
guess.
tough. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. There's nothing glamorous about it. Now, some of our girls they love it,
Mhm.
and we'll, like when we take super good care of our team members. But I mean, it's a hard thing to do daily. I did it for 4 years, so
Right.
it's tough.
Yeah. Well, before we get like to the last part of what I want to talk about, I don't think I've really asked the question, but like what sparked the idea of On Target here? Like, because I know you said you had kind of a history of doing cleaning and restoration when you were
Yeah.
in Florida or in Missouri area, but what sparked that here?
Yeah. So I came out here. I came from the cleaning and restoration world in Kansas City. I'd worked in that since I was 15. My best friend kind of taught me everything I knew. I'd gone to a bigger company, learned a lot there, and just ended up not jiving with that company, and kind of wanted to leave, do my own thing. So I moved out here with no intentions of starting a business at all.
Mm,
I never wanted to, like, no intentions of owning my own business. That was never on my radar. Nothing. My best friend back in Kansas City really pushed me. I was working at Gander Mountain, and
okay.
yeah, man, I rode that through bankruptcy, which was a wild ride. But we were doing that, and then it was just, like everywhere I worked, it was like they controlled how quickly I could move up,
Mm,
and I was like, man, I'm hungry. Like I want to get it. Like I need to get to a point where I can have a wife and support a family and all that. And I was like, I need to do this. And my dad lived in assisted living, and I was, the financial caretaker for him, and he was starting to run out of money, and it was like I was going to have to start picking up the tab, and so like I was like, I'm not going to be able to work anywhere
mhm,
where this is like where that's going to be even feasible. And so I started on Target and just grinded it out. That was my main motivator. And he ended up passing away before his money ran out. But so like that was always kind of my goal, though, was to get to the business to a point to where, like, hey, like I knew what that dollar amount was. Like
yeah.
I could have done it, and like we hit that probably a couple years ago, and then flew on by that. But that was kind of my main motivator, was like I didn't really have a choice. Like I needed to do something where I could control my own destiny and I could control my own rate of growth. And so it was really important to it basically what it came down to was like, I know how to clean carpet, and I saw all the apartments my buddies were moving into, and I was like, I can definitely do it better than that.
Mm,
And so we just went for it.
that's crazy. At what point did you realize, like, all right, it's time to go all in on this? Like, was there a specific moment or point in time where you were like, this is it?
Yeah, I would say for the first, like, I don't know, 12, 18 months, it was just kind of this thing we did on the side,
Mm,
like it wasn't making a bunch of money. Like we were new. And I think our first year we did like $5,000, and second year we did like 26. Like
okay.
it wasn't big. But
Yeah.
then the next year after that we did like 180, and it was like,
Wow.
oh dang, okay,
That
like
is
we
crazy.
actually make some money doing this. And that's top line, obviously, but it
Yeah. Yeah.
was we were like, okay. And so like kind of took that seriously, and then but it wasn't enough to support me. I didn't really make any money off the company, like any like it was below minimum wage. I was
Mhm.
making like $2-3 an hour when you worked
Wow.
it out. And so it didn't make enough money for me to pay bills until I don't know, probably like year 3.5
Okay.
years in. And then my dad actually ended up passing away. And even though I was a like financial caretaker of like all of his stuff,
Mhm.
I had no idea about a life insurance policy. And like this thing kicked in. It wasn't a lot of money. It's like not even a year's salary.
Mhm.
And but it was like it was enough. And it was like that little bit of a cushion. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna send it.
Yeah.
And went full time with it. I was like, I can eat beans and rice
Yeah.
and grind and for like 10 months before I need to get another job. And I was like, all right, bet. And as soon as I did that, dude, this is the best thing.
Took off.
It just took off. Like when you have nothing but time to focus on it, and then you have to focus on it. There's no other way. Oh, dude, yeah. It took off through the roof. I've had some other buddies that have started businesses and they're like, I'm gonna work at this job and I'll just do it on the I'm like, no, if you're gonna do it, like you need to do it. You need to be
Right.
all in right now and it will take care of you. And I've had 3 buddies that have done that and it did. Like
Yeah.
just dedicate it and get after it.
Yeah. That's what I mean, anybody that I've talked to that is a successful business owner in terms of it's still, years of operation, that's their only job. It's the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing I hear is like, in the early stages, like it's a point of you figuring it out. But when you get to the point of I know this is what I want to do, and maybe the money's not fully there yet, like you just got to go for it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way when you can give all of your attention to it, it's going to explode.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So talk about, like, obviously you're a husband, you're a dad. So talk about, if you want to share about your family a little bit, like when
Yeah.
your family started and all that, and then how you balance all that with work. What did it look like when it was all first kind of happening, starting your family, and then how has it kind of changed now?
Yeah. So me and Sarah have been married for 5 years. And we have a little girl, Lorelai. She'll be 20 months here next week. So
That's awesome.
dealing with that. Sarah's expecting, so she got another one on the way.
Nice.
So pretty pumped about that. So second one will be coming in March. Me and Sarah dated for a year and a half. So like she saw on target from the time it was. Oh man, I remember being in an apartment off Morgantown Road, and she was in town. She went to school at Auburn, so
Okay.
she was down in Alabama, and she was doing school. She was up. I'm supposed to be spending time with her, and here we are, like we're walking this unit, and I had pets in it. It smells, it smells real bad, and we're in there, and I'm bidding it, and then I get an approval, and I'm like, hey, I got to do this right now, and she's just like standing there, and I remember looking at her and telling her like, man, I can't wait until I have people that like I can have, like do these jobs so I can spend more time with you. She's like, no, it's all right. Like it'll come. It'll like, yeah, like we're good. Like we're just hanging out. So she just sit there and like chill and read a book or watch, and we'd talk, and I'd be sitting there, extracting dog urine out of carpet with a
Oh
shop
gosh.
vac and all this. And she's like,
She's a real one from the beginning.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. So like, OG, but so she's been there the whole time. Her going to school in Auburn, like transparently, was really beneficial for us,
Mm.
just relationship wise. So like, she was going to nursing school, so like she had a lot of studying, she had a lot of stuff she needed to do. Kind of gave her like the time to focus on her school, and really gave me the time to build the business.
Mm.
And so like I was able to build the business to a point that was like, hey, like I'm pretty confident I'm gonna marry this girl. And so like by the time she gets up here, like yeah, she's gonna be a nurse, she'll make decent money, but like if I'm gonna be the head of the household, like I need to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
was like, I got to get this thing moving. And so that was that allowed me to grind. I mean, like she'd call me at like 10, 11 at night, and after her day kind of winded down, and we'd talk. She'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "I'm cleaning carpets."
Yeah.
Just grinding. And yeah, she's been there from the beginning. And but once she moved up here, we kind of had staff. I'd stepped out more into like a sales role, still very involved in the cleaning, but
Mhm.
I was a kind of more of account management, go and get new business, all that. And so that was that was beneficial. And we had Lorelai 20 months ago, and I remember sitting down telling my executive team that it was coming, and they were like, "Oh," and I was like, "Hey, I need to get this thing to a point to where like I don't have to be here 12
Yeah.
hours a day.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that to like my baby and my wife. Like I need to be able to turn my phone off and not worry about it." And that people always talk about taking a baby moon before you have a
Mhm.
baby, right?
Yeah.
And so me and Sarah went to Hawaii when she was, she was like 6 months pregnant, I think. Yeah, 5, 6 months pregnant. And so we went to Hawaii, and that was kind of the test for
Mm.
the executive team, and they took it more seriously than I did. I was just like, hey, if it doesn't work out, like we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. But they were like, no, like, and I think day 2 in Hawaii, I ended up calling Paige, and I was like, hey, is everything all right?
Mhm.
And she was like, do not call me. We are fine.
Mm.
Everything is fine. You have built an organization that can run without you, and it is fine.
Mm.
And you need to enjoy your time. Do not call me again. And I think I ended up texting her a couple times, like because
Yeah.
we were there, we were in Hawaii
Yeah.
for 10 days. But
You
yeah,
knew it worked, huh?
it worked.
Yeah.
And so like when Lorelai was born, I was able to spend some time at home. nothing crazy. Like I still put in at least 8 hours a day at On Target. Like, I mean, I'm still there. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, cool, it's at a point like I can bounce. I'll never do that. But yeah, it's really good to have grown to the point where we can kind of have that freedom. It's been really good for our marriage. It's been really good for fulfilling my role as a father as well. You know, being able to come home at a decent time, and be able to just kind of shut it off and know that, like, hey, everything's good, and just, like, focus on family. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's incredible. Well, I think it's awesome what you've built, and it's cool to see you guys get out in the community, and I sure do like seeing the On Target logo on Whether or Not, guys. I just think that's so cool, man. Because I mean, I'm serious. I watched them for all the weather updates and stuff. So when I saw that, I was like, man, I got to get Denton on the podcast for sure now.
yeah, dude.
So yeah, talk about that. How did that go down? I guess.
So, my wife was in a tornado as a kid, and so she's, super weather aware, right? And then I grew up in Missouri, and I was like, whatever, like, we go outside
That's
and
the
look for
normal,
it. You
yeah.
know, I was like, it wasn't a big deal. And but when that one rolled through Bowling Green, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
And so kind of a dual prong. Like, we wanted to always sponsor something weather related. There's nothing wrong with the local channels, but like when we'd sit down and talk to them, and like with how much money it was going to cost versus their viewership, like, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's not that many people that watch, like, even during a severe, like, where are these people at? And I was a big Ryan Hall y'all guy
Oh, yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
man, for just like nationwide weather, like, he's the man.
Yeah.
And then people started talking about Landon. Landon actually reached out to me,
Okay.
and we went and had lunch, and he was telling me about Whether or Not, and it had kind of taken off. And we try to stay from a marketing aspect because we're not a franchise and we don't have a ton of money to throw around. You got to be super strategic with how you spend your money. And I was like, man, like, who are people watching? I remember this, one of the local stations, when the tornado was coming through town, was like, oh, okay, tornado's in Russellville, okay, it's in Auburn. Oh, okay, it's crossing Russellville Road. And then boom, they were gone, like, lost feed. I was like, dang, what? This is crazy. And so that's when we knew it was bad, right? And the station didn't get hit; they just lost power.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't have what we were on Twitter, trying to see what was going on. Well, man, with Landon, like, he streams, but like, if he goes down, he's got guys backed up, and he's got guys that don't live right here that he can hop over to. And so, like, even if all of Bowling Green loses power, like, he can still stream weather. And so, like, if you're in your house watching the weather, and then all of a sudden a tree falls and a branch comes through your house, man, how do you be top of mind? Like, being top of mind when an emergency strikes, like, that's hard, dude. And so you've got to have either a lot of money, and you've got to be strategic with it. Well, man, if you're watching Landon Hampton, it says On Target storm
On
damage
screen,
specialist,
yeah.
and it has my phone number right there. Just pick it up and call. So that's Landon's a good dude. We align, like, mission wise, like, real big. But especially with the community, and just like a Christian focus, and it just aligned really well. Landon had some better opportunities as far as, like, money wise with who could have sponsored him, but he was like, man, you align, like, so well.
Oh, that's incredible.
He was like, I'd rather be with you. And so we've just started that. That's like a super in its infancy stage as far as, like, what that's going to be. But Landon's been awesome. We think that's the future of weather. And so we've kind of staked our name, like, right there as far as for future events. And we're really excited about that one.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference with I think just technology has changed so much now. I remember being a kid and, like, you only watched the weather, like the local news station for weather.
Yeah.
But I mean, people have the power to choose what they want to watch from streaming.
Yep.
And that's like my wife and I, like, we don't pay for satellite or anything. Like, we just do Hulu Live, and but, like, the difference is people have the news, like the local news on, and they just let it stay on all day. But the difference is when you go and watch people like Landon and his team, is that you're choosing to go and you either follow them and you have notifications turned on so you get notified, or you are looking them up to go watch and see what they're saying about what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's different too, is people are choosing to go and watch that, and that's just more powerful.
Yeah.
When people have that choice.
When they trust him. Like, I mean,
Right.
the people people trust Landon with their lives because of the information he puts out, which is amazing. And so, like, when he's on there and he's like, hey, there's a little cluster of hail rolling through the north side of
So detailed.
Bowling Green or the Wobbles community. Like, hey, and then he's getting people tweeting him like, hey, yeah, I got damage here, blah blah blah. He's like, hey, make sure you reach out to On Target if you got any damage. They'll take care of you. That's my trusted guy. Man, when we announced that, and he posted it, and it wasn't during like a live or anything. It was just like an announcement. Like the amount of people that commented are like, Landon, if you trust them, we're all in.
Wow.
And I was like,
that
what?
is crazy,
like for a weather guy. And so
is
it's
so
just
cool.
yeah, like you said, technology's changed so much, and just staying on the forefront of that, and like, hey, what are people actually doing? Like old school marketing techniques. That's one thing about being small, local. Like we can pivot. Like I can pivot so fast. These big companies, they can't pivot like we can. And so like if I see something's working or like something's trending a certain way, I'm like, boom, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Like I can just be on it. And so we try to, I mean, our marketing team meets every other week, and we're constantly looking for that next thing. Like, hey, what's the next thing that we can be a part of that's going to keep us top of mind and like super hyper local in the community.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. You guys are doing an incredible job, by the way. It's been really cool to watch, and you all have an awesome. We were just talking offline. On Target has an awesome building they purchased about 2 years ago. It's how old is the building? The Honeycrest building,
1937.
1937. So
Yep.
I mean, it's super cool, and they're doing a ton of work to it right now. So it's going to be cool whenever you guys get settled in there. I'm excited, but we'll wrap it up here. But I want you to give just what's one piece of advice. It's kind of a cliche question to somebody that is in the middle of bootstrapping a business. It's hard. They're putting all the hours in. They're deciding, am I going to stick with this? Am I not? What is one piece of advice you'd give to them?
Yeah, man. It's one, stick it out. I mean, just grind. Like it'll pay off. It just hang in there, do it. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, and just understand that God owns everything. He's entrusted you with these blessings for a reason, and don't ever take that for granted. And wake up every day and make sure you do as much as you can with those blessings. And as long as you do, I'm a firm believer that He'll continue to pass more your way.
Man, boom. Mic drop, folks. Thanks, Denton. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for tuning in. If you're listening, thank you. If you're checking out the live stream on YouTube, thank you for watching. Let us know if you enjoyed this. Leave a comment. And, of course, if you guys need any cleaning, restoration, construction, call On Target here in Bowling Green, locally founded and operated. Thanks again, guys.